The greatest of all time debate is something that never stops raging among sports fans. And like any true debate, in order to even crown a title like that, you must first set the standards. And that's usually where the conflict begins. Is it based on championships? Well, our guest today has won 2 world championships, 3 national championships, and 3 Olympic gold medals. Or is it based on personal accolades? She's also a top 50 athlete in California history all time, a 3-time first-team All-American, a 3-time first-team academic All-American, a University of Arizona Hall of Fame honoree, and a National Softball Hall of Fame honoree. And she holds the record for a batting average in a single College World Series tournament, having hit 750. And while that resume, along with a selection to ESPN's greatest of all-time softball team, probably qualifies our guest as a GOAT, we believe the true definition of that title comes not just from the accolades, awards, and performance, but the type of person that you are. And our guest today has the resume to back that up as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Win, a show where we interview champions and trailblazers and ask questions to uncover and discover their championship traits for succeeding in sports, work, and life. Win is part of Grit, a pivotalmomentsmedia.com channel focused on breaking the stigma surrounding mental fitness in sports. Visit pivotalmomentsmedia.com for more episodes, content, and education on how we can tackle that challenge together. Our guest today, Leah Amico, is one of the most prolific softball players of all time. In addition to everything I mentioned above, Leah is also a professional inspirational speaker with over 20 years of experience, a published author, having written Victorious and Softball Glory and God's Story, and she's also an analyst for ESPN and Westwood One Sports, and the host of the Gold Standard podcast. Amongst all of that, she is a dedicated mother to her 3 boys and is committed to empowering others to meet their potential. Leah, you are a complete champion in every sense of the word. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I love that you athletes and I don't know, you read those accolades, and to me, I feel like it was a past life or something.
Right.
Or I sound really old with all those things.
You know what? You win either way. That's the funny part about it. But
no, yeah, Coach, great to meet you. I'm waiting for you to run for governor of California because I'm going to vote for you. Because
I mean, I have had people tell me that, and honestly, with our governor, like if I really should. I should think about that.
you have common sense. You're highly educated, high EQ, high IQ, and definitely
she knows how to operate under pressure, so. Right? She comes in the clutch, right?
That's it. Comes in the clutch. I love it.
She's done more than most Americans. Sorry, JB. I could go. The puns could roll like for a while outside the military.
Let's go. I like it. I like the fact that we're missing a lot of that today. Just simple leadership, coach. And I think whether you're in sports or business, Lee and I, and you as well too, we consult with executives and coaches on how to coach and be a better person and be a better leader. And sometimes we just, we forget that it's sometimes this simple leadership that makes the best leaders, that makes the best coaches, right? Being a great listener, shutting your mouth and hearing is helps out. So coach, you have a undeniable resume across the board, and you have this grit, which I love about you. How did that evolve in your career and your post career, and just talk about grit a little bit and where it came from and your inspiration to be such a champion at all levels?
Well, I just think I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn in a good way. I'm stubborn and I'm competitive. And, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. And I want to try to be the best at it. And I was very fortunate to play for coaches who, helped me to become even better. Like you just said, I had great leaders around me. I had a very, very good support system. My family, I think we need to make sure the people we are supported by are the right people, because there's a whole lot of people that people don't even realize just being around them is going to pull them down. And then the people next to me, those teammates, we were going for one goal. We all the best. So it wasn't just physical. Yes, we were all talented. It was that drive. It was that, again, that desire to be the best. But then, okay, so you have that mental side, right? But then the effort that it took to get there.
Mm-hmm. And coach, I just want to, I have a follow-up on that. Like when, as you were growing and, you're playing softball and getting better, when did you figure out for yourself? Cause I always like to ask athletes this, when did you figure out for yourself, like, yeah, maybe I can do this at the next level. Maybe I can be an Olympian, Team USA, the whole thing, or, playing college. Like when did that start that you felt that confidence for yourself?
I have two very specific times. I was 14 years old and we won a national championship, 52 teams from around the United States. And I was the winning pitcher. And I remember thinking, I think I was a freshman in high school. And I remember thinking, I think there could be more. I think I could get that college scholarship. And then I had people cheering out with me. And then we won the national championship my year of college. I ended up getting the only hit in the championship game off of Lisa Fernandez. We won 1-0.
Wow.
And I thought, it doesn't get better than this. Like, this is it. And then 3 months later, I was 18 years old and they said in 3 years, softball is going to be in the Olympics for the first time ever. And literally, I'm telling you, that day was when I was like, that's the team I'm going to be on. I didn't know how, I didn't know, what it was, what it even looked like, but that dream just started that day that they said in 3 years. And here's why. I was very hard on myself, but at the same time, I always still thought I was better than everybody else. So it's this like funny, like I can always get better, but you're not better than me. And I remember thinking, I got to hit off Elisa Fernandez and she's the best that there is.
Yeah.
If I can hit her, I can play. And I used that as hard as I was on myself. I always used that to push myself. And I got to win 3 gold medals eventually with Lisa Fernandez.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's just moments are crazy. I think the other thing too, that you mentioned is that, faith is important too. I always find people get irky around that word. Like it's one of those, you either have
it or you don't. Though, but
I agree. Well, here's the thing. I think what we don't do enough is break down what faith is. Cause I think look, if you're religious, people understand what that is right away. But I think sometimes there's people that go, religion is not, well, here's the thing. Faith isn't limited to religion. It's so important to have faith. And the way I use faith, the definition is just believing in something larger than yourself. Right. And that's something that Leah, I think all champions share. They just believe in something larger than themselves. And look, even with the teams you were on, you believed in a mission larger than just you. It wasn't just about you. Right. So I'm adding this question in, but could you just talk about faith and how important that is for a champion?
Yeah. Well, I think I agree. And I see what you're like. I do have faith, and my faith is in Jesus Christ and who he says I am. So that is really for me foundation. But what you're saying, I think, is true. This belief system that is, I have faith that I can go out and accomplish what I think I want to accomplish. And I see that I have vision. I have vision to see where I want to go. And again, that faith, that belief, I feel like is this foundational thing of I have what it takes to get there. Because that alone, you say that all champions have that. I agree. That mindset, that belief, that faith, how you want to say that. I really believe that that is what spurs and is the engine behind going after your goals. Because here's why: everybody's gonna go through hard times. And that's when those people who lack faith, lack belief, that's when they step back. And I will just say again, because of my faith, like you say, religion, like I don't think, for me, it's a relationship with Jesus Christ. But I say this to say, I really believe at the end of the day, like my identity is not in that. And because of that, I can go play freely and I can go like, I can have that playing, without freedom of fear, and just to lay it all down and be like, there is a bigger purpose and I'm with the best people on this journey. And that's what I'm going for. So even what you're saying, like, I think that all absolutely can tie together.
Absolutely.
And I know, like, on that podium, I'm like, all right, like there's a bigger purpose here.
Right. First off, I can see your passion pouring through. And I mean that. For those of you not just listening, I mean, you could see the passion there. And I always say this too, like, because you talked earlier about people that will bring you down, and sometimes that can be disguised. And one of the things I look for, and again, my attitude is always to help people understand if I can. When I've met people that kind of scoff at religion, right? And again, this isn't going to be a religious debate here. I'm just talking to everybody listening. If you meet someone that has a faith in God, in Jesus, in Judaism, whatever, Muslim, whatever it is, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for anyone that has faith in something larger than themselves. I don't scoff at it, because why would you do that if it brings somebody peace, if it brings somebody strength, right? And I think it's important. This is why I go to that definition. We should all have something like that. Even if you're an atheist, you should believe in something larger than yourself, because there's more than just planet Earth here, right? So again, I don't want to go into a full conversation about that. I love your answer. And like I said, the passion I just saw on your face, whether I believe in what you believe or not, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to the conversation. The point is, wow,
Exactly.
look what you drew out of that. Right. And that's how important that is to have. It also leads us perfectly to the next question. Leah, championships and awards are amazing moments in time. But as we discuss on the show all the time, the road to those championships is covered with challenges and adversity. And on this show, we try never to ask, hey, what was it like to win the Olympics? There's plenty of shows that can ask you that. And I'm sure you've spoken about that. I want to know about everything that happened to lead up to that kind of win, to all of your victories. What were some of the teaching moments from your career, and how did you overcome them to learn to become a champion?
Well, I think adversity. I think in our sport, you fail a lot, and especially offensively, right? But then I growing up, I was a pitcher, felt like I kind of was in control. So I learned that aspect. I learned that aspect of it to be able to kind of control what I'm doing here and kind of, the mode of the game. But then I go hit, and there was a lot of things out of my control. And so through that adversity, and really learning from it. I think that was the biggest thing. Am I going to pout? Am I going to complain? I could, go make excuses, but instead I constantly was like, what did I do? And what do I need to learn from that? And I will tell you that I carried that throughout my entire career. And the higher levels I got, the quicker I needed to make that adjustment. I need to learn from it. And I needed to go and get back into that positive mindset. We talked a lot about having a short-term memory. And so this idea was stop dwelling on something that happened but instead, what is before you? What do you need to learn? Utilize it. And so that also propelled me. And when I got to the Olympic team, I was having a rough go, called up my college coach who eventually coached me in the Olympics in 2004. But I just, I'm having a bad day talking to him. He's like, Leah, your ability to have success at this level is going to come down to to deal with failure. Like you have to keep, because what happens is you get to this higher level and now you're around all these other people that are doing better. And it's like, you can let that creep in a little bit more. And so it was like, it kind of reset me. That's right. Learn from it, grow from it, go.
What's amazing about your answer is I just gave a talk called What I Learned from Interviewing 100 Champions, Trailblazers, and High Performers. And that audience, the guest list ranged from everything from Super Bowl champions down to recovering drug addicts. And one of the common themes, which you just nailed, right, which is not a surprise, was that champions look at adversity as a teaching tool, not as something to wallop over. And the really top ones, when adversity faces them, it's like a pinch. It's like, okay, what can I learn from this? And as you said, as you moved up the ranks, the margin for error got less and less and less. But I love that you brought that up, and I think everybody listening needs to hear that. Pay attention to how you respond to adversity. And from a mental fitness standpoint, if you respond to it very poorly, that's okay. Just get your base of where you're at, because that's how you start walking up the ladder. You don't have to be a Olympic level hitter yet, right? You find where you are on that ladder, and then you just start taking steps, or JB, as we always say, take just one step forward. That's progress. You don't have to be a champion tomorrow.
I think that a lot of people just tend to look at the problem, and I think champions immediately try to find the solution, and that's it. Right. Like I know the problem and that's all I need to know about it. I'm going to find the solution. Whereas everybody else is stuck, focused on the problem for way too long.
Right. And we're not training people to look at it that way transition. Right now. I think that's the big problem, right? Is that the way the news is, the way everything is, we're trained to look at the problem and then wallop in it and like, oh no, I can't control that. And that not only is that a waste of time, but it's not going to push us forward at all. That's, again, another reason why we love to do this show. And JB knows, obviously, from the military, you don't have time to look at it and wallop. You better find a solution or something bad's going to happen. Go ahead, JB. Sorry.
No, I just think, Coach Leah, you were, a pitcher too, so you could take the fight to the enemy too. So that's the other thing, right? You could do, no, seriously, you could even the score here, right? You can, whatever, you can come after him, which I think that's an important part of that. And the other thing both of you are saying about, faith, which I agree with both of you actually on what you're saying, faith isn't hope. Hope are things are going to get better on their own, right? That's hope. But faith takes with it that work ethic, something to lean on, right? Leah, as you're climbing and making the Olympic team, like you were working on it. You're like, all right, I gotta get better here. I got to look around it. I got to continue to challenge myself.
But JB, if you guys don't mind, it's just a quick story, because I always love telling stories here. And Leah,
You
please,
no, I never.
please,
I don't.
please feel free to share another one. But I remember, JB, you'll like this story too. I got invited to skate with the New Jersey Devils. And I was out there with Martin Brodeur, Tommy Abilene, Scott Stevens. These were the Stanley Cup Devils, right?
Mhm.
And I'll never forget this. The first shift I was out there, I took a shot on Martin Brodeur. He saved it. And before I even turned around, he had the puck at the other end of the ice. And I remember, I look back at this now, I could have thought, man, I suck. I'm not good at this game, right? First thought was, I need to get faster now, better now, right? And I learned more skating with those guys than I did any other time in my career. But that's just the way my brain works, right? And that was taught because when I was a younger kid, I could not do that. I had major problems as a young adult, not walloping in whys and victimhood. All right. And I want to say this again, if you're listening here and you feel that way, that's okay. I'm not looking down on that. And I did that for a long time too. Like, victims, you can't be that way. Well, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. I gotta meet you where you're at. Right. But you can climb that rock. I'm going to say it again, Leah, you probably weren't ready for the Olympics when you were 12. Right. Right.
I know.
You know what I mean?
No, it's
Yeah.
true. I do think I think great leadership, like when you're talking to me, it's just, I think of like my coach, which just had a really great ability where he had top level athletes in terms of the collegiate level, but he had a great ability to be able to see kind of what was needed. And he did not, I say he didn't baby us. He didn't like pat us on the back. You're okay. But the cool thing is he didn't let us get too high and too low. And you know what? He saw us as individuals.
Right.
He didn't say my way or the highway. He's like, here's what I need out of you. And I know this makes you tick. Let's go. I'm going to get on
Brilliant.
you a little bit more. And, over here, I'm just going to be like, you got this. He had the ability. And I think great leaders can do that. And it helps those that it, like you just said, he helps you where you're at.
It's not about them.
100%. It goes right in our next question. Leah, it talks about, leadership is a common thread amongst, champions, warriors, winners. And talk about some of those leadership styles that you saw that inspired you and you turned it into your own, and how do you adapt those styles? Because Lee and I talk about it all the time. There's some coaches that have lost jobs here in the NHL, and we look back and we talk about their style versus new style and understanding athletes, and things are different. Then some old coaches like, well, that player is soft, and I think you were fortunate. You said you had a coach that understood that all of you are different human beings and all of you need something, like Lee might need a pat on the back. I might need a kick in the butt, whatever the case is. Right. But you have to know who that person is as a human. Can you discuss some of those styles with us, Coach?
Yeah. And I look to my coach, Mike Andrea, and he's going to be on my podcast as well. I have that podcast coming out, The Gold Standard, which is funny because we talk about all the stuff you guys are saying. G is goals, O is overcoming obstacles, L is the leadership piece, and the D is the dedication. So everything we're talking about here. But I wanted to emulate him so much, but so as athletes, you in the military, like you have to be quick to adjust, and those that are quickest to adjust and learn and, take those hard times and be able to use it in a positive way to push you forward. I think that's why you reach higher levels. Same thing with coaches. To adjust. See, some people, they think, okay, I got here for this, so this is how I'm going to keep it. Right. But I think those people stay stagnant and they don't keep growing. And so the best leaders are always learning. They're always growing. Right. They're always adapting. Again, not maybe just to, give in to everybody. Right. Like, no, there's still a standard. I love that there was a standard of excellence that was set for us every single day, but he was prepared. He had a plan every single day. So it was easier for us to fall into that. A very good communicator. Communication is huge. So I loved, and to this day, I use this. It wasn't just do this. It was, hey, do this because here's what happens when you do. And literally it was like 100% so much easier to fall in line, to follow up, to know why we were doing what we were doing. And then we saw the results. Process oriented. I loved and was so thankful because there was one time at a high level, I played for somebody. It was all about the outcome, even though I remember getting this hard shot to third base and feeling like, okay, I was struggling a little bit, but that I'm going to build off of that. That's what my college coach would have done. He said, hit it hard. The next one's going through. This other coach felt like I was late on it. So I come in and all he's doing is like, putting me down for you were got to be earlier. And the other coach again, would have built on that, and process is everything. And so when I did that, I knew I'm going to see these results. So to me, and then another thing I will say, calm under pressure. I think a lot of people that follow a leader, they watch and everybody can do well when things are going well, but it's when adversity hits, that's when you see the best people rise up. So what are the leaders from above doing? What is my coach doing? What are the leaders from within, leaders on the team? And that helped us on the Olympic team. We lost 3 games. We were on the verge of not even winning any medal, let alone a gold. It was when the leaders, and actually you'll love this, it was some sports psychologists. We had military support behind us because we had gone and done some training with Navy SEALs, and we all got together, and it was this accountability piece that we all brought together. And just being able to say, okay, here's the deal, step back, look at it from perspective, and then get back to the fundamentals. And having that kind of calmness in the midst of adversity, I think is just another extra really important piece.
I love it, Leah. It was probably the Army Rangers that you worked with, because if you worked with the SEALs, you wouldn't have won the gold. So I just want to make that correction.
He looks for any
And the other thing,
opportunity.
the other thing, that's right. Yeah. Other thing, Leah, is my dad, he's passed, but he coached, youth baseball for about 50 years. And he used to say, hit the ball hard, something good's going to happen. So,
yes.
yeah, right.
Yes.
Like he would just say, and if you hit it and it went right, he's like, listen, you hit the ball hard. Good job. Like,
yes,
that's it. Like something's going to happen there. Great. I love it. I love it. I love your inspiration. I love how you said something, which I think everybody needs to listen to. You said, as you are adapting your leadership style, you don't have to change your standards. And that's what times when you ask coaches to adapt, they're like, well, my standard is everybody's going to do. Listen, we're not telling you to do that. We're telling you to look at every person as an individual. We go back to hockey a lot, Lee and I, because you want to talk about a melting pot of human beings. Look at an NHL locker room, Americans, Canadians, Swedes, Czechs, Russians.
Yeah.
Like you go, like there's so many people in there from all walks of life. And if you don't know how to deal with that, you're not going to be able to, as a leader of the organization, you're not going to get the best. You're not going to lift that talent. And I think that's so important. You got to lift this person's talent. All you, Lee.
I'll say you guys you're both so energetic and inspirational. I'm just almost taking this in. I feel like I'm watching this episode more than I'm in it, which is awesome. Leah, you're an amazing speaker, and you do that. Thank obviously you. Professionally, but just some thoughts on what everybody is saying. One is we talked about hope before. I always say hope is death to an athlete. You don't want to be hoping in any game situation. You want to be doing. Hope for me usually comes at a desperate time. It's a different definition than when you're not playing, is what I'm trying to say. It's not bad to have hope. The other thing too,
totally.
Yeah. I'm not against hope.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like in a game situation, that's not the emotion I want to rely on. The other thing is that we talk about leaders and coaches. We have a lot of coaches that listen to this show. The ability to change and evolve is so important for coaches. You hear a lot of coaches say, well, kids are different today. Yeah, they are. You better change. Better change.
They're smarter. They're smarter today.
Yeah,
because they're exposed to more.
My point is that you're always. I've said it on the show many times, Leah, that good coaches know everything. Great coaches know they know nothing, and you better take that approach as you come into each season. Obviously, standards are extremely important. Do you review your standards every season? Are they realistic? Do you review the players? When I walk into a locker room, Leah, I always ask the coach these 2 questions when I'm doing an interview. And I always get funny answers. First question I ask is, can you define the word trust without using the word trust in the definition? And I'm always surprised at how often they have trouble with that, because it's not as easy as people think it is to do. And the second thing I do, based on what you're saying, I say, okay, do you know how to, or what motivates every single individual player and coach and staff member on your team? And 99% no. Like, well, then how do you motivate them? And then there's always an awkward silence for a minute of, you need to know how to motivate each player. Well, I just motivate them the way I was motivated. Not a good plan. Not a great plan. It's a short-sighted plan. And typically that's the hook I get when they're like, well, tell me more. And I also want to say too, it seems like your teams were well ahead of their time if they were bringing a military and sports psychologist to do that.
Oh yeah. The University of Arizona, we were one of the first to have sports psychologists. He was on our campus, Jeff Jansen. And we were very fortunate. That was when, so up until then, UCLA had been the dynasty. Kendra had just come in a couple of years earlier. And this is what another thing I will say about great leaders. They're not afraid to allow other people to their own strengths. I will tell you, I played
100%.
for coaches at the top level that were like, nope, don't listen to that person. Don't listen to that person. He was like, oh, you're a sports psychologist. We want to use
Right.
you. I mean, I saw it at the Olympic level. He said, he eventually became our 2004 Olympic coach. And he said, there's all these, we have access to all these amazing people in their own fields. He goes, we'll take it all. He goes, oh yeah, those other teams, none of them want them. We want them all. And
Right.
so that was the year we went 9-0, scored 51 runs, only had 1 run scored against us. But yeah, I agree with you. Like being able to see and to know, and yet again, that idea is it was never soft and easy. He has said to me, and this is where it comes down to a team and the group you're working with. He has said to me the years that he would start to struggle, he said, we do need like a little bit of like those feisty, like gritty people, right? He said, I think sometimes when we start to struggle, we're lacking almost that. He's like, you guys were such a mix. We had the nice kids. Some of them are just too nice.
Yeah. You need an accountability
think,
gauge.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the idea of like who the makeup of who each person is, but that speaks a lot to that diversity actually as a positive thing.
Yeah. And
go ahead, JB.
No, another nugget of information that she just told everybody. If you're listening, listen to what Leah is saying here. If you're a leader or coach of an organization, like you don't lose your control by asking other people to come in to assist you.
Right.
You actually show your maturity level and your EQ, and you gain that control. That's what you do. But you're exactly right. I've seen it in pro sports, Leah. Like they're like, nope, this person, nope.
It's happened to you, JB. It's happened.
It's happened.
Yeah.
They're like, no, like I'm not going to draw a power play up, coach. Seriously.
Right.
Totally.
I might help one person of your team get 1% better, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all about filling
your
gaps.
Great
Great
coach
coaches do
is
that.
smart enough to do that.
Great coaches know their gaps. You know yourself,
100%.
you know your gaps, and you find people to fill them. I work with a team right now where this coach's gap is team building and mental fitness. He knows he needs it. He knows how important it is. And he hired me, and we have a great relationship. And it's funny, JB, someone had asked me, one of the players, like, well, what is your job here, really? And I said, honestly, my job comes down to 3 to 4 moments a game and making sure that I tell a player the right message in that moment so that they can perform. I said, but that's it, 3 to 4 moments a game. And I said, I did that little, that artist thing of like, you make a mistake. I spent my whole life figuring out what those 3 to 4 moments a game are. Right.
Mhm.
And it's not always so obvious to people. And
Yes.
I'm blessed to be in a position that I feel like I can do that. Now, at the same time, as JB just said, this guy's the best tactician on the planet. I'm not walking up to him in the middle of the game and saying, I think we should switch our system up. That's his job. Right. That's
Barkov should take the face off, not Tarun.
Right. That's what we talked about before the episode, but we'll come back to NHL debates later on. So,
Exactly.
Leah, I wanted to ask you this. It's going to turn a little serious here. All right. Mental fitness is coming to the forefront in our society, but specifically in athletics right now in recent years. We have been made more aware of suicide at the collegiate ranks recently and beyond, of athletes under extreme pressure. So from the way I look at it, mental fitness is now at a boiling point where you can't avoid the discussion. And our show is all about that. So what I wanted to ask you is, in your experience, how do you approach mental fitness? Maybe how do you define it, and how do you work with others to build that?
Yeah, I think it is very important to look at what is going on mentally. And like I said, I just personally, for the most part, like pretty positive person, naturally, driven, pretty self-motivated. But I've had on me that have really struggled, have dealt with depression, anxiety, different things. I think there's sometimes where it's chemical. I think there's sometimes it is external situations. For me, I feel like, I really have to say, I feel like social media plays a massive, massive role in a lot of stuff we're seeing, but
100%.
we have to learn almost to deal with it. We have to deal with it because here's the problem. 95% of your go away. If you get off social media, how many people are really going to listen?
Right.
They're not. And so we got to figure out ways like, okay, how do we work with that? Right. Our coach literally used to say to us, don't read the newspapers. Don't read the newspapers. That's me going back. Right. And And then even when I made the Olympic team was kind of when blogs were getting bigger and a lot of, a lot more, stuff online. And I just remember even just the hateful comments to those of us on the
Right.
Olympic softball team. It was so weird, but again, we were at an age where we didn't really let that affect us. But I think of a kid, and if I I was younger,
Right.
oh man, that could have derailed me big time. So I do think I hope we can just start talking about it all the time,
Right.
and people can feel real and be open and heard, can feel heard and understood. And I need to say one more thing really quick. I also think in sports, one, because we make such a big deal about it, right? And and now we've just signed NILs. So now athletes are pretty much pros, right? Going to college now, maybe even high school. That's going to add a lot more pressure as well. So I think we maybe need to start having those people who fill those gaps and can speak into that with every team.
I absolutely agree with that on multiple fronts. And first off, I want to thank you for being vulnerable there for a moment and telling us about your own stuff. I think that that's the biggest step is, and you're not the first athlete on the show to do that. Everybody on the show that comes on, I'm blown away by their ability to say, yeah, look, I deal with that. That's the first step of just, admitting that there is, and it's not a problem, just admitting that it exists. I think the next thing is you brought up social media. I think personally, and I agree with you that it is a problem. I think we're looking at it the wrong way. We need to evolve into it, into that technology. And that's what history shows, right? That we always evolve slower than technology. And the great example I give is in the Civil War, you had people walking over open battlefields towards cannons, which was a Revolutionary War technique, but the weapons had advanced so much that it was devastating, right? And like when I say that, people go, well, yeah, that was dumb. That's what they're going to say about us now with digital technology, probably 100 years from now, right? So I think we need to evolve to be better because the technology is incredible. It's amazing time to be alive, but all of our faults are in it. and social media is a human highlight reel right now. It's a human highlight reel, and
That's what it is.
it's not realistic.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
That is the problem. Yes.
Right. And that's what worries me about young kids of like real life is not just every photo is happy, and every photo is a championship trophy. Like people don't show when they win second place, but you know what? I'm starting to do that. And I'm starting to show like, yeah, we didn't win this one because it's more realistic. The other thing I was going to say to the whole panel here is that a mistake, I think we make is I say this, I go, I wish we had better leaders. I wish we had better leaders. And everybody goes, they're out there. No, they're not. You know where they are? They're 7 years old. They're 8 years old. They're in elementary school right now. And we have to raise them. That's where the next leaders are going to come from. It's probably not going to come from any living adult right now, right? They have to be born and they have to be raised. And they're out there. They are out there. But when I speak to schools, and Leah, I'm sure you do similar stuff. I know JB does. I tell the kids, because everyone's telling them the things we've said of, you guys are different. You have everything. It's all this. I tell them, you need to be the leaders in the future. We're not going to do it. You need to step up and become the leaders that we're not. And if you want change, you have to do that. And people are so afraid of saying that now because it's like, well, they're being taught this, they're being taught that. It does make leaders and they will lead. We're not making leaders, we're making followers, we're making workers.
Well, that's what I think, but I think that's part of the problem is they want people just get on your phones, be addicted to it, spend all your time just consuming.
Right.
Don't go out and create, don't go out and, and I agree. But I feel like we have to be countercultural in that sense. And there are enough people, I think, that see that, but I agree. We have to get more vocal.
Right.
We have to continue to just make an impact.
I agree with everything you're saying about this whole leadership thing. Just makes my head explode because, I look back and the simplicity of being a leader is there. And I think we try to make it so difficult. Right. And then we're afraid to have conversations. And a coach should be able to have a conversation with a player. Player should be having a conversation with a coach.
Yes.
And by the way, guess what? Sometimes players get cut. People get fired. The best person for the job doesn't get it. Leah, when you're putting a team together, sometimes the best person for the team doesn't make the team. Why? Because you already have enough pitchers, right? So and that's just how it works. But you have to learn to battle through that, and that's what it is. And you talk about winners and champions and everything we're talking about today. Those people like yourself and Lee, they love the battle. What I mean by that, the practice that comes in with it, the practice in the dark places, right? And if you look at all the best, that's what they do. They love the practice in the dark place. And sometimes it turns out to be a gold medal. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
but you have to continue to put that work in. So thank you so much, Leah. You're amazing. I could talk to you for 5 hours.
I feel the same. I love this discussion.
Yeah. And look, I'll say this too, is that, and JB, you brought this up, I recently started not playing basketball, but just shooting basketball hoops outside my house. And I suck at it. And I love that. I do. I really, really do. And like people come out and say like, your shot's horrible. I said, yeah, but I'm getting better every day. I'm getting better. And like, I'm 40 almost here. Like, I just enjoy the process of learning something new. Like it doesn't matter to me about that I'm not good at it. And
Exactly.
JB, that goes back to what you said, but again, I learned that from watching other leaders like yourselves do that, right? Like, who cares if I'm bad at it? It's the process of learning that I love. I was once asked this, and again, I don't have the clairvoyancy to answer this the way I did, but someone said, what do you think the pinnacle of life is? And I said, it's probably death, because you can learn till you die. And like the room stopped. And I was like, that's true, right? And I didn't realize at that moment people don't see things like that. You know what I mean? And again, look, I'm sure it's not that simple, but my point is that like we're saying, you got to enjoy that process or embrace the suck, right? JB, as you're always saying, right? And you're not going to win all the time. And that's not realistic.
I have one follow-up. I know we got to go here shortly. Leah, I have one follow-up for you, since Lee got me my brain working here. I like that. Thanks, Lee. Leah, was there a time in this path that you didn't enjoy the journey though?
It was one time, and it was when, it was one of our coaches who was much more outcome focused. And so I found that my mindset then shifted, and now all of a sudden I became trying to please instead of trying to just like go out and play the game the way I play it and with purpose. And I almost started to try to prove myself and earn it all the time. So when I was even coaching, I tried to help athletes, but sometimes I'm like, you can't even make them, even though I'm telling you, I trust you. I believe in you. I go up and have fun. And they're going, I just want to prove myself. And I'm like, no, like you don't have to. But that was the difference. And so when I got to actually go back my senior year to college, after taking a year off for the Olympic team, I was able to get back into that process. And here's what I'll never forget: we won the national championship. My third one, I remember sitting on the back of a little golf cart, heading over to the press conference and telling my coach again, who I just look up to so much, just saying to him, thank you for letting me love the game again. Because what he did was so much bigger. He was leading us, but he was infusing me with the passion and talent and gifting that I had to be able to go out and display it. Wow. And I think that's what great leaders do. And I think when I hear I had a kid last couple of weeks ago, we did a little softball event. She came up to me at the end of this fun little day, doing some drills and clinic, doing some stuff. And she said to me, she's like going to be a junior in high school. And she said, I just need to thank you. She said, after coming today, I'm not going to quit softball anymore. I had a real rough year this year, but I'm going to keep playing. My family's moving to Kentucky, and I do want to keep playing. I said, that's what it's all about. Because I said, you feel like you hate the sport now. You feel like it's the situation, it's the environment, coach. It could be a team situation, but just, we need to get into healthy places. And I think that was the key. So it meant a lot to me. And from that point on, I think back and I'm like, man, I really could have derailed and just finished my career right there. But I got to get back under some great leadership, which then gave me another 7-8 years with Team USA.
I love it. Young coaches, listen to what she's saying.
Right.
Let them enjoy the game.
We were saying this too. This is a great statement I heard another coach say: never be a kid's last coach.
Oh, that's a good one. You say that a lot, Lane. That's really powerful.
It's a good one.
Like
never
that.
be a kid's last coach.
Wow, that's powerful.
It sums it all up, right? It's not about us. And I also say too, though, we just had a great interview on our last episode. There's a natural progression of coaching. Most young coaches, and I don't fault them, are egotistical in nature. They want to win. They want the outcome. It's a common thing that happens. So if you're listening to this and you go, that's not me, or maybe you realize that it is, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Most coaches evolve. I was like that when I started coaching. I evolved into, wow, this isn't about me, right? Never be a kid's last coach. All right.
Well, and
Love
I think you got to just keep that I coach a little bit with the under 22 Israel national team. Last year did the under 18.
Wow.
And you know, I'm not going to lie, like that competitiveness gets in you at times. You have those moments,
course.
but again, I think that's okay in those moments, but then you just step back and you get big picture.
Right.
And then you might have those moments again, you step back and you get big picture. And I think that's what
Absolutely.
it's all about.
You know, another quick one, Leah. You know, one of the things I tell coaches to listen for is in those moments, because look, I'm competitive. I hate losing. I hate it. I hate it. I really hate it. All right. But what I tell coaches is, okay, when you're about to lose, and these are key moments. Let's say you're about to lose a game. Are you saying in your mind, I'm about to lose, or we are about to lose? Because that's a huge indicator. And if it's don't beat yourself up. That means you won it, right? But you have to ascend to a point. If it's really not just you, it's we're gonna lose. You got to really pay attention to that internal dialogue and the thought process. And like I said, this is like me shooting hoops, right? Okay, if you said fine. What are you gonna do about it? Because listen, no one's coaching because they don't care. Right? Like no one's doing it because they don't care about something. All right, most likely, right? Especially at the higher levels, you have to evolve. Listen, Leah, I'm talking a lot. I want to give you the last word. Your new podcast is well, most of you it's gonna be available when you're listening to this. It's called The Gold Standard. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what it is and what they can expect, and you know why we're gonna listen to it as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited. Honestly, it's so similar to what you guys are doing. You know, I think I'm going to start in sports. I thought, you know, being able to interview high level Olympians, first of all, gold medalists. I'm starting a lot with softball. It's not going to be a softball podcast. I really actually, the first people I was interviewing were some of my Olympic teammates. We all won gold together. But my whole goal was they've gone on to be an ESPN broadcaster, gone on to be a firefighter, gone on to do all these different things. And it's that core, like JB, you know, what you did, like, I'm sure we could have so many of those same connections of, you know, and all of us, anyone that's reaching any level of success in what they do. So my heart is to be able to talk about, well, how important is goal setting? Like you said it, Lee, goal setting, belief, faith. What is that? What does that look like? Here's the reality. Again, I want to do great things. Well, what do you want to do? Because you got to know what you want to do and where you want to go before you know how to get there. And then overcoming obstacles. Every single person who has reached greatness has had to persevere. And then there's the leadership piece. What are those qualities? You know, what is that? Everything we just talked about today. And then just lastly, the D, because it's an acronym. So, and then the D is the dedication and just the discipline, the drive that you have. I feel like that's almost the action piece. We know where we want to go. We're going to have to overcome some stuff, right? So there's a mental strength. You got to have leaders, but then what are those daily habits? Because that is, like you guys said, talk about all day. We all meet in the huddle, but it's what difference the huddle makes. You go out and you do it. And to me, like that's what I just want to share. We're going to start with athletes. Like I said, I think, you know, eventually I'm going to move into other high level people in all different fields. What did it take to get there? And these principles, like you're sharing, how can we apply them to our own lives to be the best in everything? I was also a homeschool mom for 13 years, but I wanted to still give my kids the best opportunity, you know, to go on and to do great things. So it can apply to everything we do.
So I'm sorry, I have to ask this question now. What's harder, being an Olympic level softball player or a homeschool mother?
A homeschool mother, 100%.
I'm going to tell you, I've said, no, raising 3 boys, winning 3 Olympic gold medals is way easier than raising 3 boys.
And thus
100%.
my intro has come full circle. Thus proving the point of the show. Now listen, everybody is
Lee, who do you think can do the best softball play-by-play though? Me or you? And we'll let Leah judge us.
We're just play-by-play, or we're doing.
Go ahead. Let's do a play-by-play.
I've done baseball. It's a different sport, but I've done it. I mean, you sure you want to get in the saddle here with me, JB? JB, you're a color analyst and you know. Let's just be honest.
I'm a color analyst. That's right.
It's true. Leah, first off, everybody, make sure I can't wait for your podcast to come out.
That's going to be a good one.
We might be doing similar stuff. This space is big enough for all of us, and if we really truly share the same mission, we need more people doing it. So that's fantastic.
Exactly.
Where can people find you? Where's the best place? I know you're everywhere. You're on ESPN or Westwood One. What's the best place if people want to get in contact?
Yeah, for sure. My website's Leah Amico, LeahAmico.com, LeahAmico.com. People can sign up for my newsletter. I give them gold medal tips all the time on just all these types of things, core values. And then social media at Leah20USA. So my number, so LEAH20USA on Twitter, on Instagram. Usually I'll have all the updates of things going on like that. And then, yeah, the Gold Standard podcast, it's launching, and very excited to, like you said, just to be able talking with y'all. It tells me I'm on the right, I'm on that right path, because
you've got it.
It's so similar. And guess what? You're going to reach audiences I might not reach. I'm going to be able to reach the others. We just need everybody to keep being reminded and encouraged.
Yeah, like we said this whole episode, it's a team. The whole thing is a team, and I look forward to running with you on that journey. So you have been a fantastic guest. I'm so thankful we had this episode today.
Well, I've really, really enjoyed being with both of you. I mean, it's so wonderful. Again, JB, thank you for your service. You are a true hero. I like to say I got to go play sports, but the real heroes are the ones that are behind the scenes that we don't always see, that are really allowing us to go play those sports for fun. And so, and then Lee, yeah, keep up the great work. I think of people that I've worked with in the industry, through my entire career, and it does take good people who get it. And so I can tell just with the short time, you really get it. And I think we need to continue to spread this positive message.
Thanks,
so thank
Leah.
you guys.
That's wonderful. And look, I'm going to end it on that. So I'm going to say that's going to do it for this episode of Win Championship Trades for Life. Again, we're powered by Pivotal Moments Media. Check us out and the Grit channel at pivotalmomentsmedia.com for more inspirational, entertaining, and educational content. For Leah, Amico, and JB Spizzo, I'm Lee Elias. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep an eye out soon for more of our episodes. Look for the Gold Standard right now. Go find it, go follow it, go subscribe to it. I'm going to do that right away. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for listening to this edition of Win Championship Trades for Life. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit that subscribe button or that like button wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, pivotalmomentsmedia.com. And remember, Win is part of Grit, a Pivotal Moments Media channel, which is working to break the stigma surrounding mental fitness in sports. Again, visit pivotalmomentsmedia.com for more episodes, content, and education on how we can tackle that challenge together. Keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next episode.